Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of May 11th through the 17th. And during that time, we will have a full moon that comes in on the 12th. So, full moon energy, of course, that's heightened emotions, and sometimes you can be overwhelmed and anxious. Some people get a little snappy and irritable, but that kind of crazy full moon energy. You could have changes in your sleeping patterns. So, keep that in mind. We will then move into, right after the full moon, into that waning gibbous energy. And that's a really good time for self reflection and rebirth, a good time to make positive changes, get rid of bad habits and negative thinking. It's just a more calm time. So pay attention to those moon energies as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Aries. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: a win-win outcome is forecast. All right, let's see what the Aries Collective has going on for the week. In Aries, I would like to say that since my readings are free to you, all that I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel, and it's super, super easy for you to do. So if you want to take a moment right now while I'm shuffling to hit that subscribe button. And of course, at the end, if you like this reading, if you hit the like button, that would be awesome as well. But I do appreciate that. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and helping me build a community here. I'm seeing some repeat faces and starting to recognize everyone. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Also, my weekly reminder for this week is to learn something new. Pick a topic that you've had some interest in, and just, sometimes as adults, we forget to just stop and really focus and learn things. So if there's something that's been around that you have an interest in, just set aside a couple of hours for yourself this week and say, you know what, I'm going to take some time to learn about this thing. So just do a little bit of study, maybe take notes, but just really think and really absorb that thing that you're learning. So that is just my friendly weekly reminder. And I will try to do that myself this week as well. Sometimes I have a little list of like things that I want to learn, and I forget to consult it. Occasionally I just get busy. So, and I feel like if you're a little more focused, that's better than like just mindlessly scrolling or watching TV or, watching. I can go into little YouTube rabbit holes pretty easily. So anyway, just my weekly reminder. All right, we've got a card that's coming out and we are ready to go here. So overall present energy is the Four of Cups here, Aries. So feeling a little sad, maybe a little bit of grief about something. It could be that there's just been something going on for you that's just making you a little bit sad. I always like to say that even though you have some cups that are knocked over, and there's maybe some emotions spilling out, don't forget that you also have some cups behind you. And that's usually, I see that as the support of your friends and family, and you have people around you and support at your back. So keep that in mind as you're going through whatever this difficult phase may be for you. Your current situation is the King of Swords. So, this could be some sort of intellectual thing. This is kind of knowledge and an overall big knowledge in a certain area. And for this, it's intellect. And it also is, because it's sword energy, it's not only thinking, but it's also speaking. So it could be that, whatever it is that you are feeling some sort of loss or some sort of grief about, you're very clear minded about it. It is what it is. It's kind of cut and dry. So, and your messaging reflects that as well. At the root of your situation is the Two of Swords. So, some sort of indecision, some sort of thing that you're kind of being forced to maybe make a decision on, but you're not quite ready. It looks like you're mulling things over. And that's perfectly fine. That's what we do sometimes. Make a little more space here. I feel like I'm cramped in here today. At the recent past for you, Aries, is the Eight of Wands. So something that has happened here, it looks like it was coming in rather quickly, maybe unexpected, but it's definitely had some sort of effect on you, and it's putting you in this decision-making mode. And maybe, this decision, maybe there's just no good decision. And you're trying to use your intellect to make sure that whatever decision you make is the best for you and everyone around you. That would be, the kingly thing to do, is to not just think about yourself, but to think about, your all of everyone that's around you. And maybe that's why you're kind of stuck in this indecision. Maybe there's sad outcomes. You're going to have people that are going to be unhappy no matter what you choose. So that could be why you're kind of sitting in that. You're not quite ready to let that decision drop yet, and that's fine. Give yourself to think about it. Of course, your overall message card here is that a win-win outcome is forecast. So I feel like you're just really mulling the best kind of win situation for everybody and whatever this decision is that you're making right now. What is on your mind this week? More swords with the 7 here. So very interesting. The 7 of swords this is kind of our card of being cunning and crafty. This could be a card of theft or hidden agenda. And that's kind of on your mind right now. And you might be trying to avoid, not only avoid theft or avoid some sort of hidden agenda, but also, because it's on your mind, and you're making a decision. I'm getting the feeling that you're trying to avoid having others see you in that way. That even though it's on your mind, you don't want other people to think that this is about some sort of theft, or that there is some hidden agenda here. It looks like things have happened rapidly, and there part of me is thinking that this could be, um, with all of these swords and this grief card, this could be, perhaps you're in charge of taking care of someone's estate. Someone has passed, this thing has happened quickly, and you're just trying to make sure that you're making the best decisions for everyone around you. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. That's what kind of ties into this grief, but also ties into this king of trying to make sure that you're making the right decisions for everyone, but also that you don't want to have the appearance that you're taking more, or not being fair about this. So, what is just ahead of you is the Queen of Cups. So, not only are you in this king energy where you're really thinking about, the best way intellectually to deal with this, but also the Queen, maternal energy, and that is how to deal with everyone's emotions around you. So, not only your emotions, but I just really get the feeling, Ari, that you're really just being very, very gentle with every step that you make, to make sure that it makes sense on a logical level, but that also makes sense on an emotional level. So good job for you. I mean, my heart's going out to you because I can feel this pull, and I can feel this, you don't want to feel judged. You want to feel like you're making the right decisions, and you definitely are. So hang in there with that, because I'm really feeling that for you. In your advice position is the Magician, which I love this, because this is awareness. This is, what will you manifest out of all of this? What is the best outcome for everyone, and which tool here on the table are you going to use to make that best outcome for everyone happen? Are you going to use your emotions? Will it be money? Will it be the sword of, intellect and logic? Will it be the wand of passion? But here's the Magician, and it's it's because this is in your advice position. This is the Magician saying, this is your choice, this is your call on how to handle this, and how to best apply these tools, and maybe more than one, maybe all four of them in different situations, just to make sure that there is a really good outcome for everyone. So great card, I believe, in this situation. What is beyond your control this week is the 3 of Wands here. So this is about travel. You may have to, and this is new ventures also. This is something this is like water that you've never been in before, and I can see you looking at that water, and thinking about it. There may be some travel involved this week with having to manage this situation that you have, and it is new. It's like new water for you. Like I said, that water that's out there, it's a little bit choppy again. You've got the queen. You've got the queen, and when I'm talking about water, look at the water in this card. Look at this, the water of emotion that moves around in this card, and she's just completely focused on how to manage it well. So, I feel like this is going to be an emotional time for you, and that can really, can't be avoided right now. What's your secret desire? What you're trying to avoid is the King of Pentacles. So hopefully that is your secret desire, because now we bring in the understanding of the material world and how money works, and how, again, if this is some sort of decision, I don't know, again, this doesn't have to be a grief situation, but that is coming up for some of you. I really do believe it is that you're managing something, you're managing some estate, some sort of money and material things, and you're just wanting to make sure that the fair thing happens. So tarot is a template. That might be something different for others of you, and you can take these same bits of advice and apply it to the situation that you're in. But for some of you, that's really the feeling I'm getting. And this is your secret desire, is to again, the king doesn't just think about himself, but the king is thinking about everybody. So you're making sure that there's kind of a fairness when it comes to money, material things, that sort of thing. In your outcome position is the Two of Wands. Interesting that this is coming up here with the three also, and this is just you, really thinking about the future. This is an achievement of your goal. I see twos as being like a balance. You've got this other two here, where you're trying to make the right decisions. And I feel like your outcome is that you will have success with that. You will make the right decisions, and it will be a win-win for everybody, for you and everybody around you. So take a deep breath, Aries, and just get it accomplished, because you're in it and there's nothing you can do. It's just what you're going to have to manage this week. All right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. And I feel bad for you because you're doing this too with that full moon energy. So please keep that in mind, that and maybe that's not the day to make decisions. Maybe let that energy pass, and maybe, as we're more into that waning gibbous energy further on into the week, that's a better time for you to make decisions. So, if it's the day before, during, or after that full moon, I wouldn't make any big decisions either. I would really um, just sit and be in that evaluation mode. All right, final message here. We'll pull two of these cards. The creative no. So you need to make sure that, if you have people around you that are kind of tapping you, like, hey, and trying to get information and asking you, just, you need to tell everybody to back off, chill out, in a very creative and nice way. But that you're not making decisions yet, that there will be a time for that, but that you're kind of in evaluating mode, and that's fine. Accept disappointments gracefully. So the things that are disappointing you also, that are going to come up for you this week, you just kind of, I'm going to go back to this card here, whatever, the disappointments, the sadness, whatever I get this feeling that you're worried about being judged. If there are things that are disappointing you, of course, yes, you're going to deal with that in a graceful way. And I feel like those things are going to come up, but I'm going to remind you again of these cups. You have some people around you that are there to support you, that have your back at whatever. Of course, not everybody can be like that, but um, I feel like you have that kind of support, and you really do need to kind of rely on that this week. So, the other thing before I wrap up, Aries, I would say, is because we have two twos on the table, I would say to look up angel number 22 and see if that is helpful to you and whatever you're going through this week. Because it might be. Anytime there's a repeating number pattern like that within a reading, I like to remind you to do that, because, and you might see that number elsewhere in your life. That might be some synchronicity that you're having this week, but there's some message there for you to kind of guide you through your week. So, Aries, I wish you the best of luck with all of this, whatever you have going on this week. Of course, if you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know. I'd be interested to know what you guys are going through. I'm trying to kind of get that community started, so we're all talking in the comments, and I need to be more active there as well. So I do post readings every week, so please feel free to come back next week, and we'll see if this situation evolves and changes, or you might just have a completely new energy, new situation here for you. Also, I will say again, if you like my reading style, please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel, and I appreciate that so, so much. So, Aries, thank you, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.